GM, farmer. How's your port doing?
It's it's doing okay. It's still predominantly in BTC in generals. Only half of the port is basically vaporized.
Only half, dude. Nice.
Only half, only half. Yeah, I'm reading some of these social tweets, and some people are saying that they rented up this cycle to 5 mil, then DCA downwards on top quality Murad memes, rode them down 90%, then cashed out at the bottom, started perps tradings, got liquidated on leverage, and now down to zero. Um,
Oof.
yeah,
Damn, you just explained the whole like my last 6 months.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was a tweet by you, sir. No. Look, I think a lot of people shared that same fate. Quite honestly, I think there's a bit of a herd mentality, so when Murad shills memes, people go to the memes. When LA Vape Cabal shills hyperflyers, internet capital markets, the world goes there. And eventually all the juice is truly squeezed out and the only thing left is perps, where it's the only place where you get volatility and leverage, and it's a really dangerous game, especially from someone who went from trading meme coins to perps. There is just no connection to them, right? If you're good at memes, there's no way that you're going to be good at perps, and it's a common thing. Stick to what you're good at. Stick to where you have edge. Don't deviate. Just recalibrate, and that's how you stay alive.
Bars, dude. Don't deviate, recalibrate. Damn, that shit was hard.
Yeah, look, it's been really interesting. The market's definitely feeling a bit of a bloodbath. I think there's, as crazy as it sounds, there is reason to be extremely bullish here, like massively bullish. And I'll like allude to this because I'm thinking about this, and let me know if you think I'm actually crazy, because I could be just crazy talking here. But DeFi summer and meme coins were the same thing. The bull market lagged DeFi summer by about 6 months, and then we had up only technology for 2 years. Could it be possible that the bull run actually never happened, or am I just being delusional?
Dude, I all right. I want to say you're delusional. Or I have two answers
All
to that.
right, I think I know the answer, and the answer is that I think the question that we should be answering is: did retail did retail come, and did they come in meme coins? I don't know.
All right, so a few thoughts here is like to play devil's advocate. Like if so, the hype of Trump was like really the catalyst of the bull run, but as of we see now, it was a kind of sell the news situation with all of that hype, all of that momentum being pulled out. But if you're extremely bullish on that concept and what he has in store with the long term plays on some of these tariffs and some of these examples of everyone's going to be winning, they're not going to know what to do with their money. Like this could be the beginning of something pretty substantial, but all the markets are just in shambles. Like it's not just crypto. So it's it could be the beginning. There was a chart that you posted a few months or a while back of a pretty big correction before the big rip of a true crazy bull run. But in hindsight, there were some pretty bullish moments that I wish I would have been more aware of. But there's no real hindsight's 2020. But it is crazy to me how many people are getting super wrecked. Like the story you said, like that is I don't know. I guess people are doing all of that shit. Just opening, trading meme coins, getting completely fucking dumped on, and then going to perps, and then just getting triple wrecked. But I don't know. Maybe not as many people were stacking Bitcoin as I assumed. One thing I never did was stable up, quote unquote. I always just rotated back into Bitcoin. So that's one thing that maybe I could have done better, but I just have such long term. I'm just so bullish on Bitcoin long term that what am I going to do with stables? That shit's whack.
Man, what are you gonna do with Stables? CBS, really good trader. He posted something really cool today. He's just like, when you're running the bag up, buy shit. Get yourself the watches, get yourself the car, because these bull runs when they end, Look, at least you still have things that aren't worthless.
Yeah, and one thing, like, I value in life is travel, and that's, like, what I would like
Oh
I was
man, that travel is that's not an asset, bro. Once you travel, it's gone for
but
good.
see okay, now you're just talking like a robot. I don't know, I'm not built like the rest of these investor folks that are just like, asset class I guess my cope is during a lot of that, I was traveling quite a bit, hitting bit refill pretty hard. But, yeah, this is a
Dude,
very difficult
hold on, just to interrupt you right
Yeah,
before you
yeah.
get to your next point. You should try Raise. It's a bit refill alternative, but it's a
No
mobile app that
way.
allows you to spend your Bitcoin.
What is it?
It's called Raise. And
Raise?
yeah, so bit refill, it's like you got to track your email, this, that. Raise is an
Yeah.
app that everything's on your phone, and it's just and you can spend directly Bitcoin from your device basically by it's like it gives you a Bitcoin address. You go to your expert's wallet, you pay it. It's really nice.
Oh,
Anyways,
lit, thank you.
going on. You said travel. I think that's what we were talking about.
Oh, yeah, just,
Travel,
like,
bit re-
taking profits on that last upswing of just this correction that we're feeling, but it's super difficult, man, like, this is such a hard market to trade right now, like, no I don't know, for me, I'm just waiting. It feels like the bottom's in, but it is difficult to really know. Trump just did another, like, round of tariffs that people are that word seems to really shock the markets, but maybe you have more insight of, like, how that truly affects the markets. I just move off the narrative of it, but it seems like he's not slowing down.
Yeah, I
This is
mean,
all a
look.
ploy, okay? I posted about this a
Yeah,
few
Steve,
days
go.
ago. This is he had specific directives in mind for his plans to work. He needed to do this. And so they need to cut long-term treasuries and he needs to weaken the dollar and he's doing it in spades. He because he knew he couldn't force Powell to cut interest rates, but he can indirectly by doing this to the market and generating some of this fear. And so, if you look at the 10-year Treasury, since basically he took office, we're down 12% on a Treasury, which is a huge deal. We have $3 trillion of national debt that has to be refinanced this year. And if we're refinancing that amount of money and even a half point on an interest rate, it's extremely high amount of money that we have to go out and print. And in order for them to get past this reconciliation bill, it's called a reconciliation bill for people in the United States. Basically, you don't need a super majority to pass. You just need 50 votes basically in the Senate to pass. It has to be budget neutral. So if you have spends or pay fors, you need to have some way to pay that back. And part of his plan is going to be utilizing tariffs to basically pay for some of these things that he proposed on the campaign trail. He needs basically a way to stimulate the economy. So when tariffs, it's a balancing out. So you're still getting good growth, but you're cutting interest rates. And so at the beginning of this year, there was basically 0 to 1%, one cut that was in the market. And now we have three, and they just moved up the chance of a May hike to 50-50. Inflation is falling like a tank, like just that was one of the main concerns. They hear this word stagflation all the time. That's no longer a concern. Inflation's dropping like a rock. People aren't spending. And the concern for these other countries is if they are getting tariffed, they're going to be crushed way more than the United States because we're just not buying or we'll buy something that's cheaper. So although this talk from Canada and all these other countries is big talk, what do they have to do to stimulate their economy when they're not the largest economy in the world? They print money. Okay? They print money. And you think what that does for Bitcoin? You think that does what does for other risk assets. So they're basically coiling this system to be very pro Bitcoin. We're going to have cutting interest rates. We're going to have M2 money supply continuing to go up exponentially around the world. China has deflation right now. China's deflation of their goods. It doesn't happen often, but their goods are actually getting cheaper every year. And they've been trying to stimulate their economy for years and you can't get it to go. So Trump knew he had leverage and he's going to take it. And it's a smart move because again, he has the best time you have to break things is when you hey, have that brand new marriage and everybody's on your side. We're going to cause some pain right away. We got no one getting reelected in the next year. Let's make this happen and let's prove myself. So the first half of the year is going to be pretty rough, but the second half of the year is going to be could be a rip because there's still a lot of analysts from the stock market side that are talking about a 8 to 12% gain on the year, which is about 20 to 25% from here. So there's a method to the madness that seems to be at play here. And a lot of people are so fixated on tariff after tariff that this is all just rhetoric to try to basically get a long term strategic plan. But right now, he technically has to crash the market, at least sentiment wise, to where people stop buying. So inflation's off the table. They can cut interest rates, which stimulates growth because tariffs can inhibit growth, and they're basically going to bring interest rates down, tariffs down, and you're going to find some level to where all of a sudden you could see some massive growth towards the back half of the year.
Yeah, that's I could I see the plan, right? I see the kind of uh without like extreme in-depth macro micro economic knowledge, like I see that plan, but there's a world where like shit doesn't play out that way too. Cause or am I just or is that angle
Nah,
just
you
He still holds
tripping.
the
You
cards.
tripping.
He
You
can take the
tripping.
tariffs away in a second, you know. So he holds the cards in that sense. And so it's a lot of this. He's basically trying to get a better deal with Canada. The biggest thing now is Canada, and that's probably the easiest one to resolve. He can back off at any point he so chooses, but there's no reason to at this point because his plan is working. It looks bad, but at least as far as earnings are concerned, as far as companies, things are still looking okay. We're not in a recession. People still have the jobs for the most part. Yes, there's some layoffs and things, and so unemployment rate will go up. But this is all binary in the sense that this is all because of tariff concern, and the market's throwing a temper tantrum basically. There's no data at this point to say things are falling like a rock. It's just sentiment surveys and temper tantrums. And this happened in beginning of 2018. 2018 this happened. Markets did really well the couple years prior to that, just like we've done. And so naturally you have people selling risk assets and rebalancing Bitcoin and other things rip. So you just rebalance as far as a mixed portfolio is concerned. And the Fed raised interest rates at the I think it was the January meeting of 2018, and markets did not like it because they thought that there's going to be a recession, and the market sold off 13% in 7 days, just like Nasdaq just did. And Fed reversed course at their next meeting. Their rhetoric changed, and the market ripped to new all-time high within 21 days. So it was one of those where just it's the market wants something, it's going to try to make it happen in that sense. And it's funny how this happened as we're talking. S&P 500 just hit 10%, which is considered a correction from peak to trough. And for whatever reason, it'd be interesting to see if it bounces from here. We got CPI data tomorrow, PCE later this week. I think as people start seeing inflation coming down, at least for temporarily, you're going to probably get a bounce in markets. You have risk assets. Bitcoin's up 3% today. Nasdaq's down 1. Bitcoin outperformed Nasdaq yesterday. All these companies that got hammered, Reddit, Robinhood. It sounds like talking about leverage. There's some things. A $1 billion hedge fund got liquidated because over the last days, and they don't know if they're done unwinding yet. And that's just one because a lot of these people over leverage. Talking about over leverage on the crypto side, they do the same in the stock market.
Do we know which one that is that over leveraged?
Let's see. I heard the name but like I said, I think they had 900 and some $billion that uh, that basically they're having to liquidate. It's what happens with a lot of these hedge funds is they get in late to a trade, so then you got to leverage it. It's just like crypto degens, right? You feel like you're behind, and hey, 2x is great, but 5x is even better. And so then you have these complex hedge trades that you put on, but you can get washed out and you have to close your position. And when that happens, it just accentuates the trade. And I have to imagine Bitcoin got wound up in that, as did all these momentum stocks like Tesla, Robinhood, Palantir, AppLovin. You name these stocks that have been up hundreds of percent in the last 18 months. They just all get wrapped into it. I can find the name here. Give me 1 second.
No worries. Always appreciate your takes. I don't know if you trade professionally or you're on the macro side of things. I never really asked where your background on context comes from, but I think it's very well informed. It's always a pleasure. Appreciate it, Speed. I think the TLDR degen view of what Speed was trying to say is short term, expect a little bit more pain. Probably most of the bloodbath has already taken its course. If there is additional bloodbath, probably will be longer winded and extended over the next 4 to 6 months. And then on the flip side of that is really on the macro side, there's a lot of cards that Trump and the US really hold to improve both the economy and avoid a recession, and also just bullish catalysts for crypto in general. You still have it being an asset that trades in a really perplexing way. It's not digital gold. It trades sometimes in line with macro. It sometimes trades in line with risk assets and interest rates. Sometimes it trades as a safe haven asset with gold. But it also has halvenings, which play into its timing cycles, which then have its own, I would say, event driven outcomes with retail participation and speculation. To trade Bitcoin and to trade crypto, you got to be a bit of a madman and put everything together and have more of a worldview. Part of the reason why it trades in such a disconnected way from every other asset class is because it's a global asset and not everyone is in. The institutions are clearly not in. Large traditional hedge funds are not in it. Pension funds are not in it. Central banks, yeah, they were supposed to be, or yeah, governments were supposed to be accumulating for strategic reserves. They're not in it. They haven't really acquired it. They've just acquired it in other ways. So I think
Wait, can
there's
you
still a
explain that?
massive amount of upside.
The government side. I thought there's
Yeah.
strategic reserve deployed capital. Is that
They
not
didn't
true?
deploy
No,
capital,
so
no.
It
they
did
Yeah.
just
not.
seized whatever they had left. They were just like, we're not going to sell it. That
Yeah,
is
they
their.
moved it to a different location, basically, said we're not going to sell it.
They just went full
Millennium,
Murad on us.
yeah, Millennium Management is the hedge fund that got unwound. It got reported on Friday.
Bearish.
So,
That's the name.
yeah, Millennium Management. So
Oh
actually,
no,
today
Dude,
they
Bungie,
actually
they're one of the
announced
best performing hedge funds of all time.
they
dude. That isn't that Trump's wife's name?
what we were mentioning here about the Bitcoin thing. Cynthia Lummis, they proposed today at this Bitcoin conference that they're going to buy 1 million Bitcoin with this new proposal that they got multiple co-sponsors on. So they're going to start trying to find tax neutral ways to acquire additional Bitcoin for this strategic reserve, but it has to be tax neutral unless if it gets formally passed. Because in order for them to put the effort in of making this stuff happen, you want to get something passed legislatively so it can't be unwound easily in future presidencies. All the metrics of Bitcoin are still super bullish. And the reason why the United States holds the cards at this point, it sounds funny. And there's a lot of talk. Most other countries around the world do not have much of an interest rate currently. And the way that you get out of a recession to try to generate growth is you got to print money or you have to incentivize people to take out loans to buy and build stuff. So what do? You cut your interest rates and you typically print money. And so that's what the Feds do. The Fed basically eases their balance sheet. So they're buying bonds, putting bonds onto their balance sheet, which keeps interest rates low. And then they drop interest rates to incentivize people to go buy a new house or take out a home equity line of credit and all these things. Every other country around the world has not much interest rate at all so you can't cut
They
during.
got no cards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
honestly, they just don't have the cards.
this is we have the best advantage right now because even during this worst time, we've got tons of interest rate to cut. If this happened in 2018, 2017, we had 0% interest. You can't cut. There was countries in Europe were cutting. They were actually you were giving money to the government to lose money. It was dumb. There's this negative interest rate stuff, but in general, all the cards are in the United States. You have the largest consumer economy in the United States. So again, there's a lot of talking tough going on right now, but Trump knows he's a businessman. He's not dumb. He surrounded himself with a whole bunch of smart people, and there's a plan to this. And like I said, that plan I outlined here a couple days ago in a tweet, but it's painful. And if someone was about to retire right now and you were about to take all your risk assets off the table, you better not yet because you just lost a lot. But just look at Bitcoin and how mature Bitcoin has gotten. We talk about Bitcoin being a super risk on asset. And just to give people perspective, all the metrics for Bitcoin is still exchange Bitcoin all time low, hash rate all time high, adoption continues. We've got countries and companies going to start acquiring it. The strategic reserve not only is not going to sell our Bitcoin, basically gives the green light for other states, other companies, other countries to get on board with this as well. So Bitcoin's down from its peak at 26%, basically since middle of January. So let's just look at some comparatives in the same lump that we're talking about of risk on assets in the market. Here's Reddit, and is doing very well. Reddit's down 50% from all-time highs. Let's go to Tesla, one of the largest companies in the world, not too long ago, is down 54% from all-time highs. Here's AppLovin. Again, these companies are done really well. 53%. Robinhood's down like 45%. Just pick Amazon. Here's Amazon. It's been around forever. It's down 20%. It's and Bitcoin's down what, 24%? That's nothing. If Bitcoin's
I mean,
cycle,
look at Tesla, right? Like,
I
look
mean,
at
that's
look
what
at
I'm saying.
Tesla.
But I'm just saying people need some perspective on where we're at. If Bitcoin was going to sell off and this was the end of the cycle, it had every reason to sell off. Every reason.
Look, speed though, speed. The people are upset because we're all in on meme coins and ordinals. I think that's really why we're all upset. Is
It is
now
true. It
speaking this,
depends on where your
let
leverage was.
let's think about this cycle in general, right? Let's think about this cycle in general and if there was one and how massively rich people got. Because last cycle, I saw screenshot perp traders with P&Ls of over 50 million, 100 million, even in some cases, you had Tetranote claiming that he was approaching $1 billion net worth portfolio. We've had nothing like this cycle. There was no mass speculation, no mass euphoria, just a handful of people that, in my opinion, didn't even get rich or didn't really get wealthy, but certainly got rich. You had them make a couple $1,000,000 every now and then. And you know, that's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, it is a lot of money. But last cycle, you had people get wealthy. And
They're trading
this
against
cycle,
computers. They're trading against computers now.
yeah, if you did not hold Bitcoin this cycle, the odds of you having a crypto portfolio that are higher now than they were in the last cycle is extremely unlikely. And it's a very volatile asset class. I do agree that with that, and it does take a little bit of market timing into play if you're not into Bitcoin to really capitalize on the opportunity. Because Solana all time high, Trump sent it to 280 per token, currently trading around $100. Ethereum all time high this cycle, $3,900, trading at 1,800 right now. Like these are numbers that are near all time lows from last cycle lows. Solana, you could argue that it certainly went lower, but it had all the FTX contagion unwind that really just turbo nuked it down like 90%, which I think is part of the reason why it's performed so well from the bottom is everyone won. Let's just look at Ethereum and AVAX and all these other coins. They're not higher and they're not necessarily lower than all-time lows, but they've got this like almost relatively happy medium or something in line with reason to some degree. I just don't think if someone is entering right now, they probably, or if someone is selling right now, you're probably way past too late. I don't know. I'm just trying to think about like where we are.
We have the
Yeah.
maturation of investor class happening in crypto in real time. If you think about a lot of people's first entry into stocks, and this was myself including, I've been trading stocks for 20 years. You typically you see the biggest returns, and that's what you gravitate towards, right? You see the biotechs, and you see these kind of small venture, newly IPO'd stocks, and you're like, "Wow, these things are awesome." And you can occasionally get a monster hit, but in general, they just bleed you dry. And then you're like, "Okay, I'm going to reevaluate that." So then you go to that next tier. I still want the return, but I want to take a little less risk. And so now I'm going to go to those mid caps and things of that nature, get out of the small and micro caps, and eventually you settle on the large caps, Apples and Amazons and Microsofts. And I think that's what we're starting to see in the crypto space is people starting to gravitate back to the daddy chain in Bitcoin. And it'll be interesting to see if we'll ever crack below a 50% Bitcoin dominance. I don't know unless if we really do get some of these other chains to really take hold. I think there's clear winner in this cycle. And so Bunzi was saying, or you farmer in the sense of some people are stabling up and other people are just Bitcoining up. I sold my Solana in the last month and a half. I was getting averaged in at around 20, $25, and I just put it all into Bitcoin. And it's just one of those situations where it doesn't mean that Solana is not going to have its runs and its cycles. It's just Bitcoin's a lot more stable and it's basically become adopted. It's going to be part of an asset class that is going to be widely known, just like any other company in the world in the future. And one of the things I posted about a week or two ago that nobody's talking about is its inclusions into mutual funds and its impact on price. And we're going to see that this year. And it's going to be, we're talking about the size of MicroStrategy coming in to buy that amount of Bitcoin to balance these mutual funds. So it's a big amount of money that nobody's talking about. They're talking about these ETFs. I mean, the ETF for ETH is like no flows whatsoever. It's just, and then there'll be a Solana one. And the question is Solana going to rebound? Is it going to develop anything else? Are users and builders going to continue to put stuff on there that's going to warrant its use, a reason for you to buy the token? Because have you seen Pump Fund and what's happened to their fee rate and where Solana's at as far as its usage? It's just down like a rock ever since the meme token trading went away. And so you don't want to sell yourself as a meme token platform, but that's what it's been primarily. And I think now, as we come into this next maturation phase and we actually get real companies being built that can go public and have proper VC backing and governance and all these different things to where people can start utilizing crypto via standard means like on your phone without the knowledge that it is crypto, I think it can take off again. So I'm not saying Solana's dead or Ethereum's dead. I just think we went in that euphoria phase prematurely. And like I said, and maybe Farmer, you mentioned as well, I don't think we're done with this cycle, but it is one of those kind of reckonings for the whole market to say, hey, back up a little bit. Don't over leverage. 0 day options just got absolutely wrecked. Tons of people got wrecked by over leveraging. It's just a healthy reset in this whole space, both on the stock side and on the crypto side.
Yeah, I do agree. It's crazy that in crypto, a healthy reset is minus 75% on most people's portfolios. But we'll be back. I think we're starting to see the signs of like why building on Bitcoin just makes more sense. Do you want to have everything on your chain, everything you own being priced in Ethereum or Solana? Like, I think from a concept of moneyness or just money in general, the answer is no. And I'm not saying that, look, ordinals and Bitcoin meme coins are certainly down as well, and they're priced in Bitcoin. But if we're thinking about like sound DeFi primitives, user attention, adoption, activity, fees, and so forth, it certainly feels like it makes a hell of a lot more sense to build on the chain, which has its TVL and value. And if your whole concept is to just stack more Bitcoin, creates more wealth for your holders, in theory, that's a much better dynamic and a much healthier ecosystem to start to play around with. I think that's the TLDR, and I think it'll be interesting. I don't think this is the bottom, or rather, I think we're pretty close to a bottom. 76K might have been a generational buying opportunity the last couple of days. I think you buy when there's the most amount of blood on the streets, and there's a massive amount of blood on the streets. And I think the longer that people have time to think about what actually is going down, and the more time Trump has to massage the narrative and positioning, he just announced that he's going to be speaking with all the CEOs of the largest companies in the USA. This is going to alleviate some of the concerns and alleviate the sentiment that things are going sour. And yeah, I think that's how I'm seeing it. I think enjoy the summer, enjoy the spring, but stay focused and hold true and keep your eye on things that are coming up, because I think if you don't, then you're probably going to miss the next liquidity inflection point or sentiment inflection point that comes back as it always does inevitably, because it's Bitcoin. Yeah, I don't know if you wanted to add anything else, but maybe we can
No, I think
jump on.
all of it comes back to time frame. And again, I'm still very bullish Bitcoin meme tokens and ordinals and everything because I think if NFTs are going to have value, there's no reason why ordinals shouldn't hold more value than all NFTs in the future if people actually collect them for what they actually are. But again, it's one of those situations during peak hypes of last cycles and everything before we had a lot of meme tokens. NFTs were ultimately traded as meme tokens. They would just pump and go crazy, and people would just flip them and trade them. And so they basically took last year's frameworks and then implemented it this cycle, and it's just not the same. And so a lot of people got wrecked pretty hard. Most things are down pretty bad right now. And again, part of the rotation of people's winnings go into things. You talked about buying cars and things. Last cycle, they were buying NFTs with their winnings. And show me an altcoin that has gone thousands of percent and sustained it for long enough for people to sell. There just hasn't been one. I don't know if any of these tokens will reach another all-time high compared to last cycle. So then you say, where's the next win that the degens get? What was the major airdrops that had an influx of money? There hasn't been a lot yet. There's been some on Bitcoin, and there'll be more on Bitcoin, I think, in the near term. That's where a lot of the free money comes. And when you give free money to a lot of degens, they have a tendency to leverage it and spend it. And there just hasn't been much of that in place. It's one of those situations where I think Bitcoin needs to steady itself because we basically had a week of Bitcoin pump since March of 2024. Just look at it in a sense. We traded sideways basically from March of 2024 until October, up, down, right around that 69,000 and dip. And then we had a slight raise, and then it was like eight candles, and you're at 108,000. A little longer than that, but still, it was just like up only for a period of a month. And then it's been trade down, down, sideways. And then here it goes again. Next bump, it'll go to 125 or whatever if it does decide to turn around. But it happens so quick that if you're in stables, what are the chances that you're going to notice that and pay attention and actually implement that? And it's one of those situations when you feel pretty dirty and you feel like you're like your heart rate gets going and you click buy. That's typically a good time to buy. And I bought Bitcoin. I bought my first Bitcoin in a while this weekend just with that sentiment. And I bought a lot of stocks in the last few days just for that purpose. Again, it's a longer term perspective, but it's one of those situations when you have a long term perspective, would you want to continue to buy all time highs or would you want to buy these drawdowns? Because there's still a lot of people that think markets are going to do fine and Bitcoin's still going to do fine. But you just never know. We're gambling and guessing just like anybody else on TV is. Some of us have a little bit more information than other people, but in general, it's one of those situations where nobody knows. There could be a China could invade Taiwan next week and watch out markets. You just never know. Or we could get a trade pact with Canada here tomorrow and markets go up 10% in a day. In general, most of the market moves, even on the stock market, occur on 10 days a year. And if you're not invested in those 10 days a year, all your gains are lost.
Bitcoin is even worse. Bitcoin is just 90% of Bitcoin price movements come from 4 trading days in a year. Yeah, speaking of Bitcoin a little bit more, I appreciate that commentary, Speed. I think you're right. I think there's a lot of reasons to be bullish. There's a lot of reasons to be bullish on the Bitcoin ecosystem as well, with there being really solid and positive builder sentiment. I think people are still very much excited to build new age, new school UX experiences, product experiences, and good products in a Bitcoin aligned way. And I think if we just throw away our 2021 to 2023 type thinking where we have the same cookie cutter Web3 UX that's been forked 72 times. I think if we throw away that logic, we'll finally start to see on-chain innovation and things that people want to use and better games, better games to speculate on and so forth. Speaking on games to speculate on, we have the Taproot Wizards. And I haven't read too much of the commentary, but Taproot Wizards have announced that if you have one dead and one alive cat, you are able to mint a wizard for zero point 0.1 BTC. If you completed the quests and you have whitelists, it's 0.2. And then all remaining Taproot Wizards will be set in a Dutch auction where there will be a very limited amount of them available. And they're stating that the Dutch auction price will be higher than 0.2 or settle higher than 0.2. How do we feel about all this? Are we bullish, bearish? At one point, if you told me that you can mint a Taproot Wizard for zero point 0.1 BTC, I think everyone would have just been floored. A year ago, maybe, when it was all the rage. But how are we feeling today? Is this the wrong time to approach an ordinals mint? Or is this really gonna be minting at a bottom where people actually start caring about this and it actually does well and Taproot Wizards go to 1 to 2 BTC? Curious.
Yeah, my main thing is read the room. The timing is just like from a team that's as vetted as Taproot Wizards, it seems like it's rough timing, but from a non-extractive standpoint, it's respect them for not just like maximizing hype and but the price doesn't really represent that. Like point 0.2 is quite high. I don't know what I was thinking the price would be, but the what is the price on quantum cats? Because you need two of them.
Well, that's the thing. I'm looking at the
They
quantum cat
tanked.
price
They tanked.
and I feel like a lot of people with just one quantum cat are not buying. I mean, in this market, all we're inclined to do is sell, right? So I think in a bull market or a bullish sentiment tone to it, most people would be like, "Oh, damn! Like I need another cat. Like I need another cat because point one is cheap." And so you would have the reflexivity on an upward in an upwards direction. I think that's how I would play it personally. Like if I only owned one cat, I would be buying another one just to mint one for point one if we had a different market. But the reflexivity is on the downwards, and people with one cat, and I think there's a lot of people with one cat, are selling because they realize that it doesn't give them any edge. It doesn't give them any edge, and maybe they're fumbling the bag. And maybe Udi says, if you held on to your quantum cat, your single cat, you also get whitelist access as at point one. Maybe there's only a couple hundred people or a couple thousand people, and maybe it just minced out to the community. But I do agree with you that it's a little bit odd. At the same time, like, how much longer could you be teasing Taproot Wizards, right? Did they have a choice? They can't launch them below. They can't launch them materially below quantum or the quantum cat's price, right? Is that fair to say? ZK did plenty of times, but that was like a next collection, which is maybe viewed as less desirable as the prior. In this case, the Genesis collection is the less desirable collection, and you're minting grails basically at this point.
It is. I have to take off, but it is a little bit risky in the sense that into this market, they have a name for themselves. It's OMB, and OMB has actually done really well. It brought a lot of positive sentiment to the timeline. It was priced right, I thought, for the average buyer who didn't own an OMB could get in and be part of that community if that was one of their goals of this cycle, as they wanted to own an OMB. Yeah, and I don't think that necessarily does that with this site with this collection because there's a lot of people that don't have $50, let alone point one or point two Bitcoin or higher if you're on this other thing. I just don't know if there's any rush at this point. We're having idiots minted out, but there's some provenance to that, and who knows who is behind that. I think there's someone who's been in this space a while based on the tech that they released that collection with. So I think people woke up to that even for the price. It was pretty cheap, $69 to mint out at 10K was pretty good. But then we've had a few others that haven't done much. The biggest risk at this point is it does mint out or it mints out really slow, but then ultimately it's below floor price within a week. And it just soils a lot of new entrants maybe into your community. And you've waited this long, why not wait a few weeks or see where things are at? But I don't know. It just seems like it's forced at this point. It's not to say it won't mint out. They have a lot of, I think on the Dutch auction side, I bet they'll have a minimum reserve. If it doesn't hit, they'll buy them. They'll just put them in their treasury because they do have some venture on that side and investors as part of that team. But it is tough. It's tough to mint out at that price. I think it probably will. I'm not, and they can choose whatever price they want, and I'm never going to fud somebody for whatever price they choose to mint out their collection because ultimately it's art. I don't like this word extraction or other things because or raise this word raise unless if these artists have become venture capitalists and they're selling securities, nobody should be raising money. They're selling a product and people can choose to buy it or not buy it and then the market decides what price was fair or not. I think the if it wasn't this time peak bearishness, you look, we haven't got to this level on the fear and greed since the FTX collapse. That's how bad it's gotten. And then we're going to try to release a collection during this window. It may just not take off as well as it could otherwise.
Yeah, what's interesting is if the market does go turbo, like I see some collections that mint at a cheaper BTC price. It helps with the psychology of the price point that it's minting at. Because initially, point two, I was like, oh, that's 20K. But at these prices, it's a bit cheaper. I don't know if that plays a role into it, but the timing just seems really off, dude. Like right after the most bearish day I've seen in quite some time, they're like, "Oh yeah, this project we've been working on for 2 years. It's time." So, I'm not sure. And where the those funds go to move towards OpCat, I don't know. Like the I'm curious of what the total raise is even, but we'll see. I guess the quantum cats selling is a good kind of indicator of the appetite for it. So I'm curious to see how those start to move some more. Are you minting, farmer, or
Sorry, Bunzi. I'm double doing this. I just got a important call meeting. My bad. I gotta go on mute for a bit. I don't know if
so
you
he
want.
just got called for fudding Taproot Wizards and
Yeah. I got it. It's a call with Udi.
but yeah, if anyone else wants to hop up and actually give some of your feedback on Quantum Cats, I would be super interested to chat about that because I the team is just so vetted and just knows this was maybe something that they just had to pull the trigger. I'm not sure, but I don't own any Quantum Cats personally. I'm just watching to see how those move. But yeah, I'm curious how other people are taking it. As I pull up Magic Eden, it looks like they were trading, I don't know at what volume, but like 15K. Upon the announcement, now trading at 11K. Price go down isn't the best sign, but we saw that also with the OMB release. And that actually the Black Eyes did better than I actually anticipated. I was like looking at that and thinking this was a good opportunity to airdrop some holders, etc. But those started trading, I think, close to like 1.5x and still steadily trading around there. For some of these blue chips to get more out, I am curious if there's other projects that have done this approach because Quantum Cats is 3.3K and now they're reducing and now releasing a quote unquote grail edit with lower. From my knowledge, again, the only thing that's top of mind is OMB, the starting with a smaller supply and then moving upwards for a higher supply. I don't know. I'm curious of how that will work out and how the gamification of all of this kind of shakes out. I do think what they're doing with the entanglement of the cats is super cool and super smart to get some of these off the market to allow secondary to do its thing for some of the holders. But yeah, I was shocked to see the announcement today, to be honest. But is anyone on the Arch account and anyone wants to come chat, request, come chat with your boy.
Yeah,
But
Bunzi. Have you ever had a quantum cat, or you're just like you just been totally out of quantum cats?
no,
Because it's been an interesting ride for the long haul.
yeah, so
Not that I hold one, but I used to.
oh yeah, so I find it hard to hold like assets at that price with how ordinals perform against just Bitcoin in general. And with that significant amount, like point one, that's a lot of money. And how holding them long term is difficult for me to equate just holding BTC. So that's just my personal thing. And it's hard for me to fork over that much for a JPEG. Although the one blue chips and super expensive JPEG I do hold are OMBs, and I don't want to be checking a bunch of collections all the time, so I try to just keep it to that. But yeah, that's just my personal thought, and just buying those to quickly flip is a lot of risk in my opinion. And yeah, I don't know. I just don't like messing with that much money around JPEGs, but that's just my personal thing. So I'm sure not to, I think they're a super dope project. I think Far is one of the dopest artists on Bitcoin. I think it's a really dope and cool project. That's just personally how I move around with my Bitcoins. But yeah, how long did you have yours for?
Less than 14 days.
Ooh, what did they mint
Had a
at?
liquidium. I want to say it was point 0.1, but I'm not positive. I can't really remember. It's been a long time, over a year, I think. But yeah, so I rounded up some funds to be able to mint it because I had allow list, I think, if I remember correctly. But I only had 14 days because I used liquidium and then flipped it,
Oh,
paid
cool.
off the
Smart.
loan. And yeah, I just haven't paid attention personally to Quantum Cats. But yeah, they've obviously got a strong community. They were hovering around point 0.3 for the longest time and then slowly bled a little bit. They were the one project that was staying like at least closer to that, but it seems like this has tanked it. Speculation is stronger than knowledge.
Oh, bars. Yeah, I don't know if it tanked. It's. I guess you're right. Price wise, it tanked, but at least there's volume. If you did want to get out of your position, like there's at least people buying now, because a lot of these things are not too liquid until some type of a liquidity event like this, with some type of announcement, with some type of reason to go check the charts. There's not too many daily sells or. So today we're going to see a lot of volume. Let's see how much we've seen so far just off that announcement.
It does have 10
Uh,
buys pending, so it's moving and it can recover
dude,
quickly.
yeah, in a day, almost 10 BTC volume. Like that's quite high. But yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult market to trade on the macro right now. So we're talking like super fucking degen sub markets just being super. What the fuck is AI cats? That's just like some
I
grift.
saw that too. No idea what that was. It's at
Yeah,
like,
it
yeah.
looks. It
Way too
looks
high of
like.
a number.
Yeah, this looks like a scam. Stay away from this. This looks like someone. Interesting timing though. Like, because I saw this before the announcement, actually. Oh, another interesting thing in terms of JPEGs markets, dude. The Jeets of on Bitcoin collection.
Yeah, they're cutting their supply. I saw. Or you're about to say?
No, I don't know what they're doing. I just remember someone sending me it yesterday. 17% minted, and
Right.
then we saw idiots though. We saw idiots with this like super slow mint, and it ended up minting out. We also saw.
See, they got to the base of ordinals, and I don't know. I guess it was just enough that they combined some of the like the I don't know drop like coming in with a not a stealth drop because it there was a lot coming, but very unknown as far as what the heck is this going to be. But then they also aimed at the real strong base of ordinals people by using like all the tech and whatnot, and it's a curse collection and stuff. So different from like just your normal JPEG mint, which is to me what a lot of the others that are minting and not necessarily going anywhere right now are doing just because the market is so rough.
Yeah, if you they were trying to raise, if you do the math, it's a shit ton of money, dude. I don't know too much or anything at all about the team or who it is, what it is, but if I'm being
Pudgy
super honest,
Penguin's artist is the only thing that I know.
see, it
Isn't
just
that
seems.
what you heard?
No, I didn't. I haven't researched it all. I just saw some tweets about it, the typical kind of. But if I'm being super, it just seems like a grift, like a let's use some words people know, pudgy penguins, cheats, and just cookie cutter original art that could have worked if the market was frothing. But because the market's actually doing some research and not leaving, like separating with their Bitcoin as in full euphoria. Yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah, interesting and innovative is definitely what's running.
Which is as it should be. These are the releases like when everything's frothing and everyone just thinks nothing bad will happen. Like you can maybe flip for a little bit, but I don't know. It's super easy. It's so funny how price affects the artwork perspective. Because like when you look at it with nothing minting, you're like, wow, that shit's fucking fiver as fuck. But then when it's ripping, wow. So I don't know. But we saw demons minted out. It looks like smaller size collections still do relatively well on ordinals. And then we have another one coming up. I don't know what this is. But yeah, I don't know. Interesting time for collections to be minting, but I'm curious So they announced they're cutting the supply. Did they say by how much or
I
what?
didn't read the whole post. I just saw the words cutting supply. Stopped reading.
Congrats, or I'm sorry, but I don't know how to pronounce your name. Pirate?
What's up, y'all? It's Pwrd.
Pierrot. See, I'm actually
French.
terrible at reading. Let's see. Bonsoir.
Oui, oui. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Or soir, depending on where you are.
What are your thoughts?
Yo,
You got some JPEGs. What are your thoughts on all this?
big up. Yeah, man. Your headband is straight up fire. Fuego, as always. I just put some joint up top from Whale. I don't know if it's true or not, but I don't know. Before I even found that tweet, I was thinking to myself, it sounds in line with, if for what it is, the potential of speculation for whatever it is, sounds like in line. I've always been of the mindset of like, founders do what they want. I don't really care. And I got my own opinions beyond that. But at the end of the day, I always feel like that. I'm like, you know what? Whatever. They do what they want. People do what they want. But it looks like, according to this tweet, that it wouldn't even be the biggest raise throughout our short and condensed history here in Doe land. Excuse me. But
who would be
I kind of
close? I can only think of OMB. And just sorry to cut in, is it's strangely, didn't they raise 30 mil? So it seems like this is, I don't know. I think I remember seeing something around Taproot
Yeah, they have
rates
venture
around.
capital. Yes.
Yeah. And then, yeah, this kind of aligns with that, to maybe there's something there, but that's a fucking lot of
I
Bitcoin.
think, or I guess it was 13-ish mil. I thought it was closer to 30 mil for Quantum Cats too. I'm not 100% sure. But I guess the most or the biggest raise was Mutant Apes at 91 mil USD, and then Moonbirds 60 mil USD.
Yeah, I put those in like another like bucket. That was just full like wash. I don't know. I have my own
Euphoria.
perspective. Yeah, so those are definitely numbers that we shouldn't ignore. But I was thinking just in the ordinal realm, which is more of, I don't know, I like to think at least more sound numbers, like the ETH Euphoria NFT run with some research. Like a lot of it was very wash traded and very, and granted
Well,
that
wasn't ETH $4,000 at that
that
time,
that
probably?
yeah, that too. But very fair. We can't ignore those numbers and pretend like that didn't happen. But I do feel like that was, as a metric, like that was a black swan.
Is it the biggest raise in ordinals?
I don't believe so.
If
Combined,
Quantum Cats and
yeah,
Tap Price.
I wouldn't be the best person to ask, as I don't really look at that too much. But the only other number that I know, just from simply someone saying it, so it could be completely off, so take this with a grain of salt, was OMB collectively was around 72 mil or something like that. But see, no,
Maybe maybe a
don't.
bit shy there.
I should not, like, without definitely knowing. If someone knows, please jump up and correct my ignorance. But it's definitely fucking significant. The timing seems a little bit off with the announcement and just like extreme bear case happening. If I don't know, it's super interesting. I'm curious the decision behind announcing now, if it was something that has been being pushed off. And what's interesting is, with that last big kind of hype and upswing, a lot of teams were like gearing up. They're like, all right, this is the time. Because a lot of teams work during these slower times. And when the market starts to tick upwards, they gear up everything they've been working on to align with releasing in the best possible, to give them best chances. And it seems like maybe that uptake started and they're locked into a date, but with a team that vetted and dynamic, I don't know. Where's Udi, dude? Everyone tag Udi in the fucking blue pill. We could definitely get probably a sarcastic answer from him, at least. But
He's on the phone with Farmer.
oh, that's right. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Farmer, tell him to come in here.
Yeah, god damn it, Farmer.
He does feel like he's one for shenanigans, so maybe there's some shuffling around of these numbers a little bit as far as that goes, but it's a lot of fucking money to be blunt. And it's always a challenge when you do a big raise, I imagine, to please the appetites of all the parties involved. So, whew, sheesh, a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah. The amount of hype and the amount of things and like attention Udi has garnered, I don't see it not minting out, to be honest. And I don't know if anything, again, I probably shouldn't be saying stuff without knowing it's true, but this is Twitter space. Fuck it. Like some of the, what are the words? Allegations that a businessman had with some of the Quantum Cat stuff is like, oh, 2 got swept by or 3 got swept by a fresh wallet. What that indicates is the team won't allow certain floor prices to get hit. Could be viewed two ways, good or a bad thing, depending on how you're looking at it. Again, I don't know if that's even remotely true, but something businessman has tweeted. But regardless, it's attention on ordinals. Like stuff like this gets people talking, gets people upset. And I think people upset is a really good marketing or indicator to see interest and how many people, yeah, people, especially on Twitter, love to argue rather than agree with one another. So I'm curious to see how this shakes out, bringing a lot of attention because I know there's a lot of ETH characters that got some Taproot Wizard, what are they called, honoraries or things of that nature, like Illa from Bored Apes or Yuga being one of them. This will bring out those whale folks with bigger followings to talk about it, I would assume, and hopefully they do well because a collection like that really then makes other people pay attention to some of our other collections that we have on Ordinal. So
Yeah, they're going to be drumming up the timeline. Part of the announcement was Quest 5, and like Wizard Showers was the original thing, and it's what are they going to be doing now?
yeah, are they going to start new initiatives? I read that as we've been doing this for so long. We've done all these
No, guaranteed they're going to have another thing to do.
yeah,
Like that's what
facts,
the
facts.
quest is.
Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, there's definitely gonna be a lot of attention. The timing is super strange. I'd be super curious if it was like bearish. This is perfect with like how they roll out things, but it is gonna be the collection that a lot of eyes are focused on, and I'm curious to see how the Quantum Cats continue to either dump or start to uptick. But man, this is gonna be interesting. Do you have any Quantum
would
Cats?
you? I actually do. I have not plural. I have one. So I'm in that boat of what to
Oh,
do.
so what are you thinking, bro? What are you doing? Are you flooring? Are you getting the other one? Look, come on, bro. Like,
Yeah, man,
it's a
it's a
safe
mind jog,
space.
right?
It's a
It's a
safe
mind jog. I
mind
was
jog,
actually
man.
wondering, do you feel like, and one thought that came to my head was like, I'm a fighter, I'm an MMA fighter or UFC fighter, whatever fighter you want to pick. I just got through a really tough bout. I got beat up pretty good, but I came out on top. That's how I feel like our portfolios are right now. And we're looking at ourselves in the mirror, and then our manager rolls in and he's, yo, and it's the same day. You just got out of the fight. You still got like the ointment in your cuts in your eyes. You still got sweat. You smell it, and you're like, your manager rolls in. He's, all right, man. Yo, man, we got another one tomorrow. You ready? And then that's how it feels right now.
Dude, it's
Where it's
100%.
like,
All I can think about is that Pepe meme that just like completely brutalized. And then I don't know if that was like an indirect threat to Udi. Dude, if this shit doesn't pump, dog, I'm an MMA fighter. But yeah, I totally feel that. And that's if I have my tinfoil hat on and think I know way more than I do, like if the market's shaking everyone out, and I saw some tweets of like teams that are buying their own tokens right now is a super bullish sign. And if I was as powerful as some of these other folks, or I don't know, the Trump administration, you better believe that they're they control the markets and they obviously participate in them. Like we see, they're not just like passively doing this stuff and not participating in the markets. I'm curious of like how much is getting scooped up, if there's any signal there of what the bottoms might be with the like the insider trading that's not insider trading, or I don't know, it's like full crime season. But I don't know if I explained that well, but I am I'm super bullish on the next like few months. Like this next, I don't know what the fuck to do in these next few months, to be honest. Like I'm just watching when I stabled up or stable up, it's in Bitcoins. I'm working and dealing with that. But I don't know. It's just how crazy and how financially incentivized our president is, not just for the US or the global at large, just personally. He's going to do some crazy things to benefit himself. And I'm curious of what can come from that. Again, this is like complete ignorance. I don't know much about how or if that shakes out, but that's just my gut feeling of he's going to look out for numero uno and his ego upon everything else. But I could be wrong.
No, I think you're right. And that was a kind of a hypothetical, my scenario. And just
No, it wasn't. I tagged Udi.
good. Tag him up. But sounded like a more like thought out from my end. Udi once said that, I don't know how many months ago, he was like, people got to come in here and start bidding 1 Bitcoin for the stuff that we're all holding and that we're all into. And like people with money, that's what they want to do. They're not going to bid on stuff that's a fraction of a Bitcoin or whatever. They want to throw multiple Bitcoins or whatever. So I always think about that sometimes. A, and then B, I always and still, I believe like the Bitcoin ecosystem is separate and devoid from other ecosystems because this is the eternity chain. This is the final round. This is it. And so this is like a new frontier. It's like we just landed on the US soil and we're all Lewis and Clark just like going over the crest, every mountain crest, and there's more and there's more and more. So it's hard to see it, the next mountaintop. And I just think it's like new terrain. So in that sense, I'm bullish long term as you are. I'm in line with that. And I really hope that there is success for the Taproot Wizards and that they ultimately mint out and that the 4 horsemen of ordinals sends to the absolute Valhalla stretches. And then everybody else, all rising tides lift all ships kind of thing. And so that's where I'm at.
Oh, 100%. And all right, we got the perfect person, Robert. He is a JPEG analyst, if I've ever seen someone analyze JPEGs. But to kick it off, Taproot Wizards announcements, thoughts, and just anything else if you were listening in, you want to chime in on. But from expert like yourself, what are your thoughts?
I don't know if expert, but enthusiast is definitely accurate.
Professional?
Yeah, definitely not. Just degenerate, mega degenerate.
Enjoy yours.
Anyway, so around the Taproot Wizards mint, it's always just exciting from a trading perspective to have some action here. I was just chatting with some Sapflow users that have been cleaning up today, doing some trading. We got some kind of cool features on the marketplace right now. So like you can actually list in mempool now. So like the second you buy something on ME, you can immediately relist on Sapflow like within 1 second. Think like mempool.space level speeds. So like you can just trade back and forth in the mempool now, which is pretty fun.
Whoa, can you break that down? Because that's really interesting. So you could buy and then immediately list while it's in the mempool. Oh, I guess that's pretty self-explanatory.
So yeah, like the second we see the UTXO is hitting your wallet, which contains the ordinal or runes, you can immediately relist it, and then someone can actually go and buy it again before it even confirms. And this is uniquely possible now that we have snipe protection as marketplace tech. I'm just super excited about that. Just any opportunity to up the throughput of what's possible trading wise on Bitcoin is super exciting to me. But anyway, so beyond all of that, yeah, I will acknowledge purely from a market cap perspective, these things are like a little pricey, maybe. If you think that Cats and Taproot Wizard should trade in line with NodeMonks and OMB and Puppets and all of the other quote unquote blue chips, then we're about right. Obviously, this is a long-standing collection. it does look like initially Quantum Cat minters and holders suffered from this mint announcement. They got diluted, which is always the risk when teams go to raise more. I think we saw similar action on OMBs, but yeah, it looks like it will probably mint out. Don't think there's any issues there. It's expensive. It's one of the biggest, actually, NFT mints I think we've ever seen, even cross-chain. It's like in the top 5 or so. I mean, depending on how you look at OMB's previous mints, if they'd have held the Bitcoin, then those would have actually been more expensive in US dollar terms in terms of total mint raised. So yeah, there are a few interesting things going on here. I'll definitely be tracking it. I'll be trading it probably, Tapper Wizards. But yeah, just good to see them finally ship something out and get their tokens into the hands of their believers. But I don't know, does anyone up here own any cats, or is anyone planning to mint? Like, I'm just curious to understand, like, what is the sentiment around this?
No, for both for me. I don't have any quantum cats. It's hard for me with a market that like Bitcoin has outperformed some of the appreciation of some of these ordinals. It's hard for me to sit with that much Bitcoin in an asset. So I do think trading it upon the first week or so is probably something, I don't know, that I could see myself doing, but the likelihood of that is quite low. But yeah, that's me personally. I think someone was saying they had, was it Perot? He doesn't know. He's in a mental
Oh,
jog.
I'm just jogging still. I need your headband, Bunzi.
Dude, it's on its way.
Big up. Yeah, I have no idea. The move would have been like sell this morning and then buy back in like now.
So easy in hindsight. Come on, guys. Why isn't that doing that?
God. Or sell when they were, I don't know, almost half of Bitcoin a couple months ago.
Yep.
Or more than a couple months ago.
That was the plan. I could tell you how to trade 6 months ago. What you should have done was this.
Look, I'm coming out with a course for everybody. It'll be $20 USD. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of ways to play it, I think. Looks like there's a deadline for the entanglement. It's probably going to pump a little bit. So if you have one cat, it puts you in a funny spot. I'd love to mint it again the day after the winning bout. You have another big bout, and so like the port's not like super stoked about dropping the coin soon, but we'll see. But yeah, that's as far as being able to. If you have one cat, you can do quests and maybe get a whitelist spot there, or doing the Dutch auction, which is interesting to me. What if the Dutch auction goes below 0.2? Well, you know, maybe, I don't know.
You got to remember that these guys have raised so much at this point, like in dollar and Bitcoin terms, that like, fortunately, this is a price they can defend, like 0.2. So I'd be surprised if it goes too much lower. But like, these guys have generally shown themselves to be good faith actors, like deploying capital as needed, like for events and other things. So like, you know, it's unlikely that the Dutch auction is going to get too much lower, but you never say never. You never know what can happen, obviously. But yeah, I mean, they announced a $30 million, I think it was a Series A round. They obviously raised a ton of Bitcoin for Quantum Cats, and they had a sort of seed round as well. So this is a pretty well capitalized organization, and yeah, they should be able to defend, protect like their believers if needed. So yeah, I think we're fine there.
Yeah, good point. Good point, Robert. Thank you for reminding and putting that out there. So yeah, I think that's pretty much my mental wheelhouse there as far as that goes. You know, there's some options. There's if you can't, I also wonder like what's in store for the cats beyond, if anything. I don't know. I doubt that they're just gonna leave the cats out to dry, so to speak. Are they going to become the cats that are on the fence post meowing at midnight and just get the boots occasionally thrown at them? I don't know. I doubt it. But
wizard, 3 cats, and click your heels 3 times. You get a node monk, is what I was reading on the roadmap. No, but Robert makes a super good point. What's crazy to me, and if no one can answer, I understand, but like, how the fuck do you raise that much money with being like, yo, we're gonna sell some JPEGs. Trust me. If it's anyone, it's definitely Udi and team, but like the OpCat like approach definitely sits somewhere in here. I just don't know where, but Sav, what is good?
How's it going, man? I just think they've played the game really well, right? If you remember when Cats came out, there was so much pent-up demand for Wizards that Cats was really the only way to access their ecosystem, and a lot of speculation that Cats were an access point to Wizards, which has since come true, right? And I guess on the raise side of things, what's clear is that if you get the right narrative and the right team together, there is a lot of money still available and chasing tech that's building on Bitcoin, right? And they have that. They have probably one of the most goated like tech teams in the space right now. And you combine that with outlandish, big, hairy, audacious goal with kind of forking Bitcoin and making it more flexible. There's money available there for you. I think that by my calculations, they've probably in total raised around about 70 or 80 million dollars. You know, if they kept their raises in Bitcoin, and so like, I don't think that they would have come out with this kind of a mint price in this market without being very confident that they won't sell out to mint out to their kind of Bitcoin whale, Ethereum whale network. And I'm not sure that they're spending too much time thinking about us poors not being able to access the mint.
What do you mean, dude? They're not worried about us? I just want really expensive JPEGs. But I think you're totally right. I think everything is like spot on. The one part I do think though is with success of these big numbers, the big receipts on the timeline, everyone talking about it, I see a demand for, hey, I can't win there. Other collections starting to catch a bid and seeing some upside. And I'm just the mint date just seems really close with a lot of this like blood in the streets. So I don't know, but I am super excited to see such a big collection with such notable people, with a lot of people already in the ecosystem. So they're going to be pumping ordinals. So I think we're going to see a lot of action. So I'm excited for that. And hopefully people come from different chains because I know these bigger moments are the times like we saw it with node monks. We saw a lot of people coming over from Ethereum, from all these other places. Oh my God, it worked. If you say Udi 12 times, oh, dude, I fucking knew it. Senor Udi.
Farmer did it.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, so you just got off the phone with Farmer. We have a lot of stuff we want to talk to you about. Mainly,
Guys, I have really only a few minutes, but
what's your
I
favorite
thought I would
color?
drop in. That's the question?
Yeah.
Obviously pink. Can she see my background?
All right, later, dude. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
No,
See ya.
but super exciting announcement. Are you bringing ordinals back, or are you not reading the room and releasing cats out and wizards during all the blood? This is the overall thought.
I think I'm pretty good at reading the room. I think I noticed the blood. Obviously, this is an announcement we've been sitting on for a very long time, and it was always obvious that to us, it was always obvious that because this is a very small collection, as a reminder, there's only 2,121 Temple Wizards. It is much smaller than the other big collections on Ordinals and on other ecosystems. It is much, much smaller. We always knew, look, we have the numbers, we have the lists, we know who the holders are, we know who participated in the quest over the last 2 years. And even though we always joke that nobody wants a Temple Wizard, the fact of the matter is we always knew that a lot of people who want one will not be able to have one. And that's just the way it is. We inscribed them 2 years ago. We cannot add more, and that's it. So that is something we always knew, and we always knew that on the day we announced it, there's gonna be obviously there's gonna be people that are gonna understand that it's probably gonna be out of reach for them. And I'm not happy that's the case. I wish that maybe we should have inscribed 10,000 back then, and maybe we would have a larger community now, and more people would have been able to participate. But it is what it is. One of the kind of magical things about ordinals and inscriptions is that the way that we made them is the way they're going to be forever. And yeah, those are the only type of wizards that exist. And we could very easily, a year ago, 6 months ago, 2 months ago, said, hey, let's mint those out for 0.5, maybe 1 Bitcoin. And people would buy them, right? But I think that being in this time of the market, what I like about it, I think, and so far, based on the responses I've seen, I think I'm right about it too, and not just theorizing. I think it attracts the right type of people.
No, you said a few things like you've done the quest. This has been the longest promoted project and it is the Grail. What I'm excited about is it's reminiscent of the node mint of bringing other big collectors from other chains like Ethereum. It was a moment similar to Puppets, people switching PFPs, switching and bringing more attention to ordinals. And that's something that hats off to you. You've always done super well, regardless if it's positive or negative, pissing people off or making people happy, bringing attention to Bitcoin ordinals. And that's like effectively the most anyone could do. You address like the timing, right?
Give me some of the hard hitting questions.
Okay. All right. All right. I was buttering you up, dude.
I
I was
have that
buttering
all
you
the
up.
time. Give me some of the difficult ones.
Okay. So you addressed the blood in the streets. I like that. With the amount raised, there's speculation around is this towards OpCat or what is this? What are these funds not only being used for, but you're also raising outside capital? What is some insight into that?
Yeah. Okay. First of all, I really dislike that term raised. That's a pet peeve of mine. I know that
I read it on your post.
I know you didn't mean anything by it. No, I definitely didn't say it myself. I know you didn't mean anything by it, but this isn't a raise. This is a sale. The proceeds from the sale are revenue.
Oh no, sorry, not
They're
the
not an
sale.
investment.
Sorry, to
And
clarify,
yeah.
there was a seed round or a round
Oh,
raised. Yes.
okay.
Is there correlation to the two?
Yeah. Look, if you mean the Series A round that we announced, I think about a month or so ago, the main kind of goal is to jokingly we said we're gonna use it to bribe miners to activate OpCat. We're not actually we're not actually gonna bribe them, but yeah, the idea is to grow the OpCat ecosystem. And when you set out to do something that is crazy as let's upgrade and fork Bitcoin, it turns out that there's a lot of alignment that needs to happen. There's a lot of work that needs to happen, and that just sets us in a position where we can basically go and build out that ecosystem while other people cannot. Part of the reason is there's a risk in building for an upgrade that isn't there. And for a lot of teams, when they look at something like OpCat, they're like, I don't know if it's actually going to happen. And if it is, I don't know when. So building on that is a risk. So for us, by raising that money, we can soften that risk and hopefully help other teams too. I think people will hear more about that soon. Nothing
Ooh.
to announce right now.
Okay. So dug deep enough. Harder question. Can't answer it yet.
Got a hard one. So, Udi, were you lying the whole time about losing the keys?
No, we found them recently. You can actually see on chain. I think some people noticed that the wizards moved on chain. I think it was a couple months
Dude, you
ago.
found the fucking keys, dude?
I did
Zach
find
with
them, yeah.
CT finally came through, answered your DM, and returned.
We used the quantum
the
computer,
chat.
obviously, and we cracked the code.
If you look on chain, I found the keys. I got one last
No,
question.
you can see that the wizards moved. Literally, they all moved the same day.
They flew. All right. Two last questions and I'll pass it off. Is typically collections have gone the smaller supply and then like increased based off demand and following. With Quantum Cats being 3,333 or around that, and then going to a smaller amount, what is the thought process behind that?
There isn't a thought process behind that. The wizards were inscribed way before we even dreamt up the quantum cat. So the size that they are is the size that they are. There wasn't much thinking. I could sit here and tell you about how we're geniuses and we planned it ahead of time, but
You were
we
saying you were
didn't.
looking at the data, the holders, understanding the count, understanding how
Yeah,
many people
now.
did quests.
Yeah, but obviously we didn't have that when we inscribed the wizards. Why did we make it that size? It felt right. That's the best. You need to remember the type of wizards were inscribed, or like the first one is inscription 652. So we're talking super early. There was really no, by definition, there was no big collection before that because it was literally inscription 652. That was just the kind of early ordinal spirit. I think that's one of the nice things that collectors like about this collection, that it's so early, and a lot of the things that I think we've done since then, either some of them really shaped the way that the collections later were. So I think a lot of the stuff like the shower quest and a bunch of things that we've done, I think ended up being like a staple of Ornals Mints for a while in the beginning. And some of the stuff that we've done ends up being like very unique and no one else did it, right? So I think that's kind of part of what makes Tucker Wizards really cool. It's just been so early that nothing was by any sort of playbook.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm just curious because I get it. It's off the cuff, but you guys know the ecosystem, know the game, if you will. Last question, and then I'll pass it off to anyone else on stage if you still have some time. Is the entanglement super dope? I love the mechanics, giving exposure to people to your ecosystem, and kind of gamify and just locking those things up. It's dope. The name is cool too. But after that, what can people that hold cats look forward to? It seems like this is there any kind of anything you breadcrumbs you could leave for what cat/wizard holders can
One
look forward
utility, one
to?
utility, one utility.
Yeah, we're not gonna make any announcement about stuff like that today. As I said, the entire point of the Series A round that we just did was so that we can double down on UpCat as an upgrade for Bitcoin. I hope that signals to people that we have pretty big plans with that. There's no intention of leaving the quantum cats behind when it comes to that, but no announcements for me to make about that right now.
Fair enough. Those were my hard-hitting questions. I got to work on those. I'm going to try to get some harder ones, but Uncle Eddie, you raised your hand. Let's hear the heat, bro.
Yo, what's good? Good morning. What's happening, guys? What's up, Udi? Congratulations on finally getting this thing moving. I'm really happy that you found your keys. I think I texted Udi once a week for the last 2 years, just asking him if he had found the keys yet, because I just wanted one of these. But yeah, I just went through the process. I just entangled my cats. It took about, I don't know, maybe 30 to 45 seconds. If you actually read transactions and care about security, it should take you probably a little bit longer. But yeah, I clicked through Udi. It was easy. It shows me my cats that they're entangled. And if the wallet's funded and I go through the whole process, Udi, does that mean that I officially have one of those first 1,000 spots for the entangled cats? That was my question.
I think I bugged out. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Hello, hello.
Yo.
Like, you sound like a Solana phone. Hold on, I'm gonna
Yeah.
come back up.
I can
Yeah.
hear everybody.
Did anybody else entangle their cats? Did anybody else up here?
Nope. I don't have any cats to begin with, but I did tangle a lot of other stuff this morning. Yeah. What
Yeah, yeah.
did you hear
Sorry
the
about that.
question?
I did. Yeah, I heard the question and then my phone died. So yeah, if you entangled your cats and you funded the wallet and you have this nice little green check mark
Yeah,
that
I
says
got the green
funded,
check mark. Yeah.
then you're good to go. You are secure. Don't move don't move the funds from there before the mint, and you're good to go.
All right.
I just threw the tweet up top of what the screenshot looks like of when it's done. Yeah, dude, Udi, that was cool. It was easy. It was smooth. Thanks, dude. I love, like, my favorite part about this whole process was learning about Bitcoin from the beginning. It started with me jumping in a helicopter and going in the pool and in my wizard outfit. But along the way, I've learned about sats and I've learned about the different types of addresses on Bitcoin. I've learned how to place bids. I've learned how to buy things on different marketplaces. I don't know. The whole thing's been pretty cool. So thanks, dude. I
He
look
learned how to
forward
Yeah.
to
take a
getting a wizard.
shower.
That's the
Yeah,
most
I did.
common way people find out about Bitcoin is jumping out of helicopter. It's crazy how much I hear that story. But you got to
By
onboard
the way, a
people.
word about that entangling thing. When we, it's there's a lot of things that I wanted to talk about in this announcement and literally could not because it was already way too long of an
Now's your
announcement.
time. Now's your time.
One of the cool things about entangling is your cats are time locked on chain when you do this. they're not sent to us. They are locked in self custody, and they will automatically return to your wallet after a few days after the sale is done. This is, and I think people might have seen. There's been a few people experimenting with time locking recently. Life of FIFO is one of them.
Like, how did you do that? Is that similar to
W-
staking of a sort? So
Yeah,
it's
we
still
had
connected to
to.
my wallet address as it's locked
Yes,
on
yeah. So it's still connected to your
That's
wallet
fucking
address.
cool.
Xverse cannot show you this in the wallet, but when you connect to the dashboard, you'll see all the cats that you have. And it's not sent to us. We cannot take them. It's in your wallet. So that's pretty cool. It's one of those things that I guess in Ethereum and Solana people probably take for granted, but in Bitcoin we had to build the whole thing from scratch, and we've been testing this for like months to make sure that it works well. So that's one of the little gems in there.
And it was fast. Like the whole thing was quick.
Is this like type like tap script locking or is this DLC locking? Do you know the approach that was taken?
It's a time lock. It's not as far as like scripting goes. This isn't like something that is groundbreaking. It's just that no one really implemented it, and definitely not with ordinals, and definitely not in this specific way. You could, and by the way, I know some people who do that with, and you need to be pretty advanced because there's no user interface to do it. But I know some people who are kind of developers and know how to build transactions manually and stuff, and they have time locked their own BTC sometimes years ago, so that they cannot, in a moment of weakness, sell it. Most of them are pretty happy about that choice. It's a wild thing to do, but I know some people who've done it.
That
Gamblers will be gamblers.
that or lose your keys. That's like the most success stories ever. Dude, I bought some
Like the
shit.
opposite
I
gambling.
lost my
The
keys.
forced total.
The
Yeah,
force.
my best trade of all time was in like, I don't know when it was, like maybe 2015 or something ridiculous like that, where I went margin long on ETH on some exchange, and then some life thing happened and I forgot. So I was like leveraged long on ETH for the entire bull run of 2017 and found out like on the tail end of it. And I just forgot that I was leveraged long. So if you can, yes, if you can lose the key, that's great. But even better if you happen to accidentally leverage long at the top, the absolute bottom, and then forget about it and then remember at the top. That's fantastic. I highly recommend that if you can do it.
Yeah, that happened to me, but I got liquidated, and I wasn't able to jump out of helicopters and learn how to use Bitcoin, so that kind of sucked. But all right, Udi, what else? You said there was a lot you wish you could have included in the announcement. The technical lockup, super cool. I think that will open up and bring attention to other collections doing.
So
Yes,
another really
get
cool
it.
thing is, and we're gonna share more details about it later because right now we want people to focus on entangling other cats. But one really cool thing is the auction. There's gonna be a very small limited supply that will be left for the auction, and it'll be at a higher price. But what's really cool about it, you can bid with Bitcoin, but you can also bid with Sol with your Fento wallet. And it's honestly, it's super smooth. I absolutely love it the way that it works. You connect your Phantom wallet if and if Sol is still worth something by then remains to be seen. But if it is, then you can bid with Sol and you get the ordinal right into your ordinal address in Phantom wallet. It's super smooth. It's honestly a fantastic user experience. I'm shocked no one else did
That
that
is
before.
fire. And that brings me back to my original point is these events with node monks and these bigger collections where the bigger accounts, the bigger collectors are paying attention and posting about it. Now this could be a very big onboarding event for Solana users and a really big unlock and hopefully make the Phantom team pay more attention to ordinals because there is support. And that's something we've been chatting with them with Laser Eyes is actually in Denver. We chatted with them and they're super open and wanting to expand their wallet to support BRC20s and runes and the sending of them and a lot of interesting stuff like that. But off the back of such a big run with the very few people, but some of the people that made money on a lot of that meme coin cycle, rotating it into some of these assets, specifically this auction, is I love that. That's exactly what, you know, what I would hope from a mint like this is onboarding from different chains. So I'm hyped on that.
Yeah, thanks. And I'm genuinely, I don't like to hype myself up necessarily all the time, but like genuinely the auction stuff, I'm really proud of it. Like when you guys see it, it's really fucking smooth. My hope is that other people start integrating it into ordinal stuff because it's absurd how smooth it is. Really, like you, it's sure paying with Solana is easy, but you also get the. It's so easy to get the ordinal, and I think a lot of people in the ordinals ecosystem they don't think about that. But I've been talking to people for a very long time, and they're telling me, yeah, I'm considering picking up a CAD, but I don't want to spend my Bitcoin, and I don't have Xverse wallet, and I don't want to get into that. And by the time if they there's a lot of people in crypto that have a lot of money, guys. I know that people like I know
Where the
people like
fuck
talking
they
about
at, bro?
so I know people love talking about like $20 mints and ordinals. I think it's shameful to be honest, but whatever. I know people love talking about that. But the truth is there's a lot of people in crypto that want to buy things that are more expensive. They don't have an ordinals wallet usually, most of the time. The fact that Phantom has built-in support for ordinals and that you can pay in Sol and get an ordinal into your Bitcoin address super easily, I think it's a huge unlock. Like I'm shocked. Really, I'm like shocked that people didn't do this before because Phantom has supported ordinals for
This is so
over a
bullish.
year.
Like this is going to make everyone pay attention. And the cross chain within a wallet is something people are more comfortable with doing. Like when you got to go through something like Wormhole or something to cross chain, there's that like weird unknown. But Phantom Wallet with its dominance and with the amount of users paying attention, especially with Magic Eden being a huge onboarding event for ordinals, with Magic Eden like history being in Solana, this is damn. I wanted a FUD because I'm not minting, but this is actually super cool.
Yeah, it's a great point. Like, literally, how much money is in Xverse wallets? Like, we love Xverse. They're a great Bitcoin specific wallet, a lot of like great functionality. But what does Phantom users probably have? What, like 100 times more liquidity just in their hot wallets? Like, we all know the Sol degens are down for a punt. So yeah, like having their support, like and having Solana as like an onboarding point is very bullish. Like it's a great move here.
But Robert, what about the ancient Bitcoin whales?
Oh,
Have
yeah.
more capital than all of them.
They got
combined?
fucking Sparrow wallets or some keys they lost. How do you get their money, Udi?
They have paper wallets.
Oh my
They
god.
don't even Sparrow is too new.
That's true.
They have
Unlocked paper wallet.
Dude.
that the thing is I don't think if we put in the mint side like a text box where you can put your seed phrase in and you and we'll charge you some BTC, I don't think they'll do it. So we can't support paper wallets directly. That's still something you'll have to move to a wallet, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, last question. Let's go to the hand. Is that just for the auction or is this going to be capable for the mint processes too?
No, it's just for the auction. And the reason for that is that the whitelist is super tight, man. There's really no room, and it's full of people who have supported us over the years, and they're in ordinals in Bitcoin. They're already on board. They know how to do this. So for these guys, they're getting the better prices by minting with BTC. If you're not one of those guys and you still want to get a Tapwart Wizard, then you can try your hand at the auction. And that's, yeah, for sure, if you want to show up with your Phantom wallet, like by all means. My real hope though, I'm like, bro, you guys are gonna have to see it. I'm so like this is probably about the favorite thing for me about this whole thing is the way that the Solana thing works. I think once people try it, they'll be like, what the fuck? Why haven't we done this before? So my hope is that we're the first to do it, but not the last. I hope that the entire Ordinals ecosystem is gonna get the message. And what's beautiful about it, it's not like the wizards are wrapped or bridged or like any of that bullshit. They're on Bitcoin and they're sent to your Bitcoin address, like it's real Ordinals on Bitcoin inscribed in 2023, but you can pay with Sol. And in the future, I would imagine people would want to build stuff so they can pay with other coins too. I
Yeah,
don't see why.
on that approach is Phantom being there's I'm sure there's other wallets, but MetaMask uses what are they called? I forget. It's Eclipse or I forget. But MetaMask natively spins up all the addresses for even Ethereum, which opens up that. But what I'm excited about is situations like this help build metas, and this will allow other teams to be like, that worked. and just building more onboarding events from Solana, specifically Phantom, to ordinals for collectibles, because there's definitely an appetite for that on Solana. And that, yeah, with a mint this hyped and with this much eyes on it, with that being a part of it, I'm super bullish. I think that's super cool. Let's go with the hand. Totally, I can never pronounce your name right, but rip it. Perot.
You got it.
Bonsoir.
Bonjour. Yo, congrats, Udi. Big congrats for getting this far. Questions. First one, and I'll give you two. Are you done distributing golden capes for meows? Is that all done? And the second question, oh, you can answer if you want. I saw you pop off. My second question is, in the auction system, what's up, man? You gonna allow us to bid with runes or what?
Okay, I'll go to the first question first on golden capes. For those who don't know, very lucky few of the quantum cats have golden capes, which kind of revealed randomly over time. And those guys get to redeem their golden cape for a wizard for free. They're very rare though. Not many of those. The question was, are there going to be more? And the answer is no comment. As for the next question, if I'm going to let people pay with runes, if by then there's a rune that is as liquid as Soul, then yes, we will make it happen.
You got 2 weeks.
Dude, so runes, you're saying there's a chance. What about you just take the price difference of when the person bought it and then what the price is now and accept that, like what the delta is, and then that would just be put towards the mint. I think that could help out a lot of people. But no, this is a pretty interesting timing. I'm super excited to see what it drums up on the timeline. People being upset is the best, and that's what causes the most attention. So
Honestly, people are not nearly as upset as I hope they would be. And like the one of the things are if what would you have preferred to mint this for 1 BTC 3 months ago and then watch as all liquidity leaves? That in generally it is much friendlier and much better. And people keep like, why did you wait so long? This is why. It
actually,
is
all
much
right.
better for both for the project and for the buyers for things to be more chill. The reason it's good for the project now, people might hear that and raise some question marks. The reason it's good for the project is because, unlike some mints, we're not going anywhere and we are here for the long term. And we know that we need to have a happy community that is happy with what they got. So it is much better for us to be able to sell at something that's more reasonable and not at the peak of all of the heights and all of the hype. I'm very happy with it. I think buyers will be happy with it. But of course, at the end of the day, like I said in the beginning, there's a very limited amount of wizards. Sadly, not everyone is going to have one. And I totally understand that for many people, this is going to be out of reach. There's not going to be any hard feelings. I get it. Some people seem to want them, man.
No, I respect the thought process there of the timing and how it's being approached, because you say sometimes, oh, we have no plan, we don't know. But with the market being down and acknowledging it, because yeah, most people expect and most teams do gear up for when things are looking frothy. They're like, this is the environment we've been waiting for. And then those ends up being the Pico tops.
Yeah, of course. And by the way, regardless of the type of wizards, just in general about market conditions, I think if people are like super depressed right now about the market, they should be asking themselves some tough questions. Like Bitcoin is over $80,000 right now. It is down what 20% from the top. That's not even anything. Like that's completely normal. And I think obviously I know what's going on. Obviously, the reason that a lot of people are upset is because they do not own that much Bitcoin in their portfolio. They own a lot of other stuff. And yeah, I Fartcoin is fun. I love Fartcoin. I think it's a great joke, but you can't seriously tell me that your investment thesis is to hold Fartcoin for 10 years. Can't seriously
I
tell me
can tell you
that was your
that. No,
plan.
I can seriously tell you that. You can't tell me what I can tell you. How about that, Mr. Udi?
Okay, you can tell me that, I guess.
So Fartcoin 10-year thesis. You can't just say that and not back it up. What is
Yeah.
your projections for the 1, 3, and 5 and 10-year? How are
Yeah,
you
well,
planning
it's
on?
just
Yeah,
Bitcoin
let's
and
let Pete
Farcoin.
show his bags quick. Go ahead,
Anyways,
Pete.
yeah, no, it doesn't matter. I'm not here to talk about Farcoin. What's going on, Udi? Hey, I got a question for Pyru up here. Hey, Pyru, you still here? Yeah, so
Yeah, I'm still
would you
here, brother.
rather have one Taproot Wizard or 9 more puppets?
Woo, sheesh. Throw me in the fire there. That's a hard question. I'm going to be honest. I love you, Udi, but come on, man. Come on. This is a hard question. This is a hard question.
Yeah, also, Udi, can I have a Taproot Wizard?
Dan, you stole my question.
Maybe I should pin that, but I hope everyone realizes that tomorrow we're going to have a Pwrd space where we reveal Quest 5. So for those of you, there's two, if people want a type of wizards, there's two pretty obvious ways to get one. One is to go right now and get yourself an entangled pair of cats, and you'll be guaranteed an entry to type of wizards. The second is to do Quest 5. So Quest 5 is going to be revealed tomorrow. I pinned the Twitter space at the top. We're going to talk about it, exactly what it is, what you have to do. The idea with the whitelist is there's so many people, but we're going to try to fit the people who have supported us over the years, but also people who do Quest 5 exceptionally. So that's another way to get into the whitelist. The third way is participate in the tiny auction and compete against other Solana holders. That's also a way. But I think for people in Bitcoin, I would prefer that they get the better entry and not go to the auction. And those are the best ways to do it. Pinned tweet, Twitter space tomorrow. We'll tell you everything you need to know about Quest 5.
Can I still go to wizard parties without a Taproot wizard?
Yeah, you could always go to a party without a quantum cat.
Oh,
The parties, I actually had a chat with someone about that the other day. The parties are not a utility for holders or anything like that. The party are a way for us to spread the word about Ordinal. And the thing we usually focus on is to try to get as many cross-chain people into those parties. I think we've done a pretty good job at that over the last 2 years. We've never charged a cent to get into the party. We've never required people to hold. Sometimes we'll give holders like a quicker way to get in, to get over the queue, but in general, we're trying to get as many people in there as possible. It's about evangelizing ordinals. It's not about giving utility to holders. I think it's insulting if someone holds like a blue chip JPEG and you're like, hey, you can come to my party and get free drinks.
it's one way to
That's
get a bunch of dudes into a place and just talk about floor
the other
price.
thing is I think Topple Wizard parties are known to have probably the best ratio of men versus women in all of crypto, honestly. That's the other thing.
You ever been to a Bitcoin puppet party? Let me tell you what, dude. They got 1,000,000 women's and 1,000,000 men's. Is 1 for 1.
The reason
Whole
that's
bunch of
not true.
buttholes.
That's not true. It's only men, but it's fine because they're all gay, so it's exactly what you want. So in that regard, I would say, yeah, there's something for everyone.
Everyone has a partner. That's what a ratio is. So ratio is
You used
perfect.
to not be able to make jokes about gays like up to
You
like
still
what
can't.
was it, 6 months
Bitcoin
ago?
puppets made it okay.
Bitcoin pockets. Okay, yeah, that's true.
Made
That
it
is
okay.
Bitcoin puppets brought gayness to Bitcoin.
We also brought retarded back.
The founder called me retarded and gay live on the timeline once. So we're okay now. Thank God.
We're inscribed on gay stats and 9 puppets is a lot of gay.
This is a
Bro,
Bitcoin
gay
puppet space.
sats,
This is no
dude.
longer a quantum cat taproot wizard Udi space. This is now a Bitcoin puppet space.
It's always been a Bitcoin puppet space. We just LARPed as a cat. What if a wizard owns a cat and a puppet? That seems like a pretty cool combo. But no, let's talk more about gay sats because that seems like a very sick meta. And what
We're
makes a
still
sat
being
gay?
denied classification by Leo. He's had something against us ever since we.
So we have to go back in
broke the
history and
downvote
find
button.
historical gay payments. And then, dude, All right. No, but any other questions for Udi? He's got a lot of FUD to go battle. If anyone has any
I have
questions,
5 minutes, so yeah. If someone has an actual question or
Oh, I have a
someone want to
question.
give me
Did
shit,
you ever use the downvote feature on Pwrd.io before they took it away? And if so, what did you downvote?
did they take it away?
Yeah, it was a good period of time, maybe like a week, that we were able to smash that downvote button. But as us people with puppets,
No, that's the
carried
best
away
thing.
sometimes.
They should bring it back only for Topper Wizards. People can only downvote Topper Wizards.
Yeah,
I
we
think
were
that would be
thinking of
awesome.
putting one out where you're only allowed to downvote.
Oh yeah, that's good. Remove the upvote.
Congrats on finding the keys. Finally, took you
Yeah,
took you a
GG.
while, but I like the idea of Dutch auction, omni-chain accessibility. I think that's really cool. I love the node monk auction, so I'm actually very curious to see the aftermath of this. And the date hasn't been set, right? All you have to do is entangle the cats by the 19th. But is there a mint date, or did I miss that?
Yeah, the mint date is 25th,
Oh,
so
cool.
coming
Okay,
up soon.
right on. Yeah, I think it's the most anticipated ordinals mint of this quote unquote cycle. Crossing my fingers that you don't mark the top.
It cannot be, one thing for sure, it cannot be the top.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, it definitely can't be the top, but hopefully this doesn't mark the death of all bags. No, I'm just joking. I'm actually very bullish on what the next 9 months actually looks like.
Nice puppet, Farmer Joe.
I think, by the way, look, I cannot predict the future, and I don't know what's going to happen. There are two things I do know. One is we're not going anywhere. Doesn't matter, and I think we've proven that already. Like, we are mentally ill. Okay, we are not. It really does not matter what happens. We are not leaving. So if people are concerned that we're gonna sell the Wizards and fuck off, that is not gonna happen. The second thing is, I cannot predict the future. I can tell you what's going to happen, but our hope and what we're trying to encourage always is to bring guys to ordinals. And I hope that this is something that will happen with this mint too. My hope, I'm seeing what people say on the timeline, and sometimes people are like, oh, we shouldn't let people do those big sales. It's bad for the ecosystem. I disagree. I hope that we have as many of them as humanly possible. I hope that after the Tupper Wizards, more artists and more creators look at the Bitcoin ecosystem again and say, hey, you know what? This looks like something that can be profitable. I think we want the Ordinals ecosystem to be profitable for creators. And I think it's a good signal to send. And my hope is that we'll see more of that. I'm not, by the way, I'm not just hoping, we're planning to take action on that too, but it's not just up to us. At the end of the day, I think what sets, or what has the potential to set the ordinals ecosystem apart from like sui NFTs and hyper liquid NFTs or whatever, is that they're luxury items. And I think that is a very good position to be in. It is a much better position to be in than, hey, we have shit NFTs for $20. And after we mint them for $20, we sell them for 15. That is junk. That is not good. That is not a good position that you want to be in. I apologize for everyone who likes those kind of games, but I talk with big collectors every day. They do not enjoy that. And if you want to see liquidity, the way to do that is to have more of the big sales. By the way, we are not the only one that's happening this month. Maybe not exactly on this scale, but there should be some other mints that are not tiny. And I hope people support them as well. And I want to see as many of those as possible. That is what I think brought ordinals to everyone's attention in the first place. And that's what I think we should be doubling down on.
Yeah, love to see it. Taproot Wizards is not going anywhere as an entity. You know, you guys have a very solid team. I have no idea what you're gonna do with all that money after the raise. I don't even know what you guys are doing with all that money right now, quite frankly.
Can I have some, by the way? How about this,
But that's
Udi? You
okay.
give me the
Yeah,
money to
Gib.
mint the wizard, and then I'll mint one. and Swag and all the Bitcoin puppets. Because let's be honest, dude, the community's not the community without puppets being involved. If you don't got 1/3 of your holder base as Bitcoin puppets, I don't know what I want.
If you don't have 1/3 of your company's treasury in a strategic puppet reserve,
yeah,
I don't know.
also that, dude. Also that. I think you need to sweep the floor, like 40 or 50 puppets after mint out, maybe 100. Who knows?
Maybe all ordinals, to be honest.
Whole marketplace, every collection.
The crazy thing is
Include
that,
runes in there too.
Why do you? By the way, why do you guys care if we swip the floor? Are you selling? Are you listed? Do you have
No,
your ordinals listed?
delist.
never.
No, we want our
Yes, I do.
unrealized
Yeah.
losses to compress a little
No.
bit.
No, yes, I do. Please just buy them. I need more runes. Those have just treated me so well. I'm rotating everything into runes. So yeah, please, Udi, you're the ancient Bitcoin whale. This is the psyop it's been the whole time. You're just gonna reveal. You're gonna pull off the mask and just blowhole all your Bitcoin on the whole ecosystem. But I say we
I blew a lot of Bitcoin on runes, unfortunately, last year. I
really
counted those.
that is a psyop. But
By the way, shout out to Maven's Bot in the audience,
oh,
the creator of the one and only Bitcoin Wizard meme in 2013 that inspired the type of wizards. It's a good meme. It's a good meme, and we're happy to have played a part in bringing it back a little bit. I think maybe people forgot about it a little bit before Type of Wizards, or honestly, at the time when we inscribed the Type of Wizards, people were so depressed. You think the market is down now? Bitcoin was under 20,000 and USDC depegged, and everyone was like crying and jumping off of cliffs. And thankfully, some survived. So hopefully that puts things in perspective for some people that think the market is bad right now.
on that note, wipe your tears. It's getting worse. There's more tokens. There's more tokens coming into the ecosystem. It's wrecked. No, but appreciate you. Any other questions, or Farmer? What do you say we wrap this puppy up and
Yeah, let's wrap
untangle
it
our
up.
fucking our puppet?
One of the most successful spaces we've had, and it was also one where I said the least noted.
Yeah, let's perfect. Let's keep it running. But yeah, we do this every Tuesday and Thursday. Udi comes on, talks about everything. So if you want to hear from Udi, come every Tuesday and Thursday. No, appreciate you popping in though. The announcement's massive. Love it. Blood in the streets. And he comes just Kill Bill with some more heat. I don't know why, if that even makes sense. I haven't even seen the movie, but appreciate you. And any last words, Udi?
Yeah, if you have some Solana in your wallet, put the Dutch auction date on your calendar. Probably the last thing you'll be able to do with Sol in this cycle. We're happy to be of service there.
The last
I have some last
No,
words.
but seriously though, for Quest 5, go to the pinned tweet at the top of the space. Make sure you show up to the Twitter space tomorrow where we tell you everything about Quest 5 and how you can get your hands on the wizard.
All right, and let's wrap it up. And then Udi, check your DMs. This is how we're wrapping it up with this banger of a tune. But we'll see you next Tuesday and Thursday. Thanks for stopping by.
Bitcoin puppets.
Entangle your Bitcoin puppets today. And